of course, developing story now, and we can report that you may soon have a huge burden taken off your shallow pocket as the high cost of maize flour comes down significantly. The government is reportedly working on a subsidy program to see maize flour prices fall to 100 shillings per 2 kg packet beginning next week.
The subject of maize flour has been a matter of vicious contention nationally, even making the much-needed political fodder for the political class to score points with the electorate in this season. Various sides trading blows and blames on who should be responsible for the historical rise of unga, a Kenyan staple food that now fetches for not less than 210 Kenya shillings on retail. But thanks to a recent government intervention, the price of unga may as well reduce by at most 100 Kenya shillings after a subsidy program put in place to cushion the mwananchi from the important day-to-day consumer product.
This measure is intended to reduce the costs of maize that is coming to the country and therefore impact on the price of maize and unga that is increasing in our retailing points across the country. And I've said this is in addition to a measure we already authorized millers to import maize from which is duty-free, because duty on maize from the rest of the world also contribute to the high cost of maize.
Investigations conducted by KTN News and papers seen and signed by Agriculture PS Francis Owino, the recommended retail price for flour should not exceed 100 Kenya shillings for a 2 kg packet, 250 Kenya shillings for a 5 kg packet, and 490 for a 10 kg packet. In addition, the ministry will send representatives to the millers' premises and depots to verify proof of maize flour sales in the market in a bid to tighten surveillance and avoid cases of unscrupulous traders fleecing customers. A spot check in supermarkets in Nairobi town shows that there hasn't been a price change even after the directive, perhaps symbolizing the clearance of previous stock. With the directive taking effect Monday, traders will most likely effect next week with the next series of supply. Brian Jojotieno, KTN News, Nairobi.
Well, many thanks, Brian, for that report. And we want to take you now to our City Center studios. And my colleague, Brian George Otieno, is standing by. Good afternoon, Brian. What do we know as of this hour in regards to the maize prices on the shelves?
Senior Gina, allow me to start with the reactions of Kenyans, particularly on this announcement by the ministry and, of course, those who are associated with the grains and the cereals. There's been a lot of excitement among Kenyans. Of course, they're saying that this is a good move, especially coming at a time when the cost of living is so up high. And there's also a bit of mixed reaction from the political class. There are people who feel that this is a political move done at such a time when people are supposed to be going to an election. And all these mixed reactions just working towards making sure that Kenyans are at least getting some bit of reprieve, albeit to the short term. Now let's get to the practical things on the ground. We did a spot check earlier on in some of the supermarkets and the retail prices are still the same. I hate to be the bearer of bad news that the maize prices have not reduced, at least for the 2 kgs as is supposed to, or as is expected to have been going as low as 100 Kenya shillings. Abby, we understand that the Cereal Millers Association is still meeting the ministry to discuss some of these things. As recently as last evening, we saw some of them complaining that they've not received any notifications from the ministry, whether in terms of subsidy to, fund them to be able to meet the cost, to be able to absorb the cost rather, or the government to absorb the cost so that the mwananchi is shielded against exorbitant prices of the maize meal. So nothing conclusive just yet. We understand that discussions are going on, and we hope that it will reach a fruitful conclusion, at least to the benefit of the consumer on the ground, Abby. That's all we have for now.
All right. And of course, Brian, many are asking, in the eventuality that the prices do go down, we've had a number of experts coming out saying that if not well managed, we'd be likely to see a lot of panic buying, with others also conducting bulk stocking, because give or take, it's a subsidy that may last for just a month.
And that's the catch, really, Abby, because you see, it's much of a political move, if you may, and I hope we are allowed for a lacuna of speculation here. It will last just a month, just like any other subsidy program that is in place normally. These things do not last for so long. And so we're going to see Kenyans stocking, but that also will depend on what expiry date the manufacturer has put in place for each of the ungas and the maize mills. What we understand, though, is that they're trying to work out on a long-term plan, but this subsidy will be on a short-term basis. So that is the fear and, of course, the joy of many. We could also see a market reaction whereby the sellers also hoard a little bit because they understand that this is just going to be it's going to last a month. So we could be seeing a situation whereby perhaps the retailers, the sellers, the millers, they may actually hold a lot of this maize meal, and then once the prices have shot back up is when they now release it in the market. This is purely speculative. I've been nothing conclusive as of yet, but yes, that is where we are right now. The long and short of it is that yes, we are seeing a subsidy. It is short term, and number three, markets could react differently depending on how all these variables come to play, albeit to the benefit of the Kenyan. Abi.
Well, Brian, finally, of course, the big elephant in the room is the fact that we experienced a maize shortage as a country, and we did see a number of farmers saying that they don't have any maize to supply to the retail outlets. And actually, this has a big impact when you look at the subsidy for it to be able to even take off in the first place. Where will the maize come from? I do know that the government had announced that they allowed Kenya to import maize from Tanzania, and this maize is yet to be seen across our borders. What do we know as of this matter?
So let's give a bit of background just to understand where we are currently. The reality is that we do not have enough stocks. Remember, the government went on an ambitious program to have structures or plants like the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme. Our production has been low. Remember when Treasury, or rather the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, released the economic survey of 2022, we saw agriculture contract by a significant 2%, which of course we were going to feel it. There's also been the issue about food insecurity and so many other aspects that are playing around it. Also, don't forget that we've been having a lot of trade tiffs with our neighbors. There was a time when there was a ban against maize imports from Uganda. There was also a time when we had maize imports banned from Tanzania and the like. Our neighbors to the north are not so much known for maize planting and cereals. They're better known for other things like livestock and the like. So this only leaves two options for us, which is either the far south, we're talking about as far as Malawi, or as far as Central Africa, where now Congo, which is now a constituent member of the East African Community, where we can now import maize from. So that only leaves one option, which is importation, and there is nothing conclusive just yet. But on the long term, we understand that the Ministry of Agriculture is actually putting subsidy on fertilizers. Farm inputs have been crazy, expensively crazy for most farmers to even afford to maintain a production all year round in an all-season manner. So that is the much that we know as of now concerning the maize production. The long and short of it is that, first of all, there's been an effect on rain-fed agriculture, of course, which has affected production, and output has also been quite low. We do not have enough stocks. I'm speaking from the point of reference with NCPB records and all those people who are in charge of the grains and the cereals, also quoting also the East Africa Grain Council and the like. Now what we are relying on mostly is importation. Of course, that has to also be looked into. How much will we be buying per bag? How much, what capacity will also be allowed to the country, not affecting the farmer who is also a bit stranded with what the produce that they have currently, which is also not enough. But remember, maize is our staple food. So the only other option is to do an importation. And this importation, you're only left with two countries or a third one. So either we go far south as far as Malawi, as far as Zimbabwe and the like, but our immediate neighbors, Uganda and Tanzania, are our first call in these times. We understand that the market has been receiving a bit of more affordable imports. I don't want to call them cheap. They are more affordable imports from Uganda, from as low as 700 shillings per 90 kg bag. Of course, when it comes to this side, putting in place things like the import duty and of course transportation cost, it goes a bit higher. So we understand that those supply chain variables and of course the market forces of demand and supply are also coming to play to affect how we are buying maize, which now brings us back to the initial point of us now affording a maize meal that we are happy now has been at least subsidized, albeit to the interim, Abby.
All right, indeed, a lot to expect, and it is the long wait, even as we wait to hear more in regards to when will the subsidy kick in.